in a row in this second half for the Western Bulldogs, and they march into the second week of the finals.
Eight in a row for the Bulldogs in the second half. 6 in a row for us losing finals. It's not a happy one. It's not going to be a fun one. Stick with us. We'll try and make heads or tails of what happened on a very dirty afternoon at
Seriously,
the
I'd leave
UTAS
now.
Stadium.
Do you want to listen to this?
Of course they do.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it either, but we have to. It's the rod we made for our own back when we started this little thing 2 months ago. First and foremost, I think we need to recognise that we are still serious overachievers in 2021.
Yep.
I think I had us bottom 4, but most would have had us bottom 6 or 7. I think I said it last week. There's not many diehards that would have had us finishing in the finals. I still maintain we deserved it this year. We earned it. We got there by winning games of football, not by other teams losing games of football. And I think while we're going to go into some negative things about yesterday's game, the season as a whole is a tick. It's a tick for the club. It's a tick for the coaches. It's a tick for the players. We've got a lot of improvement there, obviously. Maybe some personnel issues, changes need to happen, but by and large, 2021 for us and our growth was a success.
You're a better man than I, Sam.
Can't let one game ruin that.
But at the moment it has.
At the moment it has. And we will do another podcast to just let the people know there will be a pod in probably a couple of weeks, maybe after the grand final, where we will talk about our season as a whole and we'll look back at some of the pros and cons. Right now it's a pretty negative feeling, but we need to just remember where we were expected to finish and what the group's done this year.
It's just such a similar feel to it now. Like.
It is. I digress. 13-7-85 beats 4-12-36. Our lowest score at a final since 1908, I believe. Of course, we can talk about the conditions and that. It's not good enough. We didn't kick a goal for the entire second half. That is awful. When we had periods of dominance on top, particularly in the first and second quarters, I did think we actually had times when we were on top for a couple of minutes at a time. We weren't able to put it on the scoreboard, and ultimately we kicked 3 behinds in the third quarter and 2 behinds in the last quarter. Now, the elephant in the room, and I'm going to get this out the way early because this is what people will want to hear, is the umpiring.
I'm a bit overweight, but that's,
I'm going to just gloss over that. I don't think there's a right answer to that statement. The umpiring, we're going to talk about that. I don't for a second want to blame the umpires for us losing that game of football.
Nope.
However,
they do make it hard to watch.
It is a topic of conversation, yes, for that very reason. So, overall, just a generic statement on the game is I felt we missed out on a lot of those 50-50 free kicks that the Bulldogs got. And there wasn't even some 50-50 ones. There was a couple of distinct times. I remember Peter Wright, for was one of them, had his arm held in a contest. Commentary pointed it out. We saw it. Umpires didn't. As the Dogs were kicking away in the last quarter, Norton dragged Ridley off the ball. He didn't have the ball. Norton got up, handballed, Bulldogs kicked a goal. It's just basic. That's just a basic 2 times where they are 100% free kicks. You can't argue them, but they were missed. And then on the flip side, you reverse that to the Dogs getting some free kicks that may have been free kicks, but they were pretty on the edge. And then they get those ones, and we don't get the obvious ones. And then, yes, you go to those Waitman ones where...
And they're right in front of goals. So they're not on the 50 or 60 metre mark, where you can sort of go, oh, well, that's not going to hurt us. But the one against Draper, which was 10, 12 metres out, which I still can't fathom how a guy can run under
absolutely no control.
Run under his arm, basically.
Whatsoever.
And then the other one where he was bumped in the chest out of, when he had the ball.
When the ball was there, critically.
When the ball was there, and the ball nearly came back into play.
Yeah.
I think.
And the commentators didn't even know that one had happened.
I think, they call that in the back.
They called it a push, just a push.
Called it a push. Well, you're allowed to push him in the front when they got the ball.
When they got the
Aren't
ball.
you allowed to do that?
You can't do it in a marking contest. You're allowed to hit them when
But
they
if he's
the
got the ball,
as long as you don't hit them in the head. Yeah.
There's no rules, I didn't think, against that one.
And so there was one early on he got for free kick for a high tackle. That one's fine. And I think the other one was he got his head ripped off as well, which again, can't really argue that one. Like I say, it didn't cost us the game, and that's not because of the margin. The margin blew out because we dropped our heads and had to probably take some risks.
And that happens in finals. Once you see the game's gone.
But it is just ultimate frustration, and I've found this all year. It's not just this game, where you have umpires that are not consistent. And I've praised umpires when they have been consistent, so I'd like to think it's a kind of a balanced argument to make.
Yep.
But, Jesus. Is it the rules? Is it the umpires? Is it teams? Something needs to change, and it's not just us. I watch football and constantly get frustrated.
Yeah, it's not me watching Essendon too. I watch other games and go, well, that's rubbish, that rule, that decision, and
So just very quickly, if I could suggest some rule changes to the rules committee if you're listening. Forceful high contact. If you drape your arm across someone's ear and it's no more effect than a pat on the bum, play on. Just protect the head, but don't pay free kicks for shitty non-contact, barely contact plays.
Even the Wakeman's first free kick where he was tackled and he pulled his arm up, like that's the old Selwood sort of technique. Like that one, I think most people would agree that frustrates us because that's not a forceful high contact. It's the arm. No. Yeah, the arm has come up from the shoulder and touched the cheek. And
under the current rules, I understand that has to be a free kick. And I'm a little bit on the side of if you're strong enough to do that, I don't really have a problem with it because it's a strength.
The umpire's got to also be aware of it too, like how it's
So
I don't like
forceful
it.
high contact, and I don't think this one can get rid of. But the other one that frustrates me is when you're making a tackle, you have got the guy bear hugged, generally from behind. He disposes of the ball normally illegally, and then you continue the tackle because you can't actually see if he's got the ball or not, and then the free kick gets paid against you for holding the man.
Yep.
Even if the bloke's disposed of it legitimately, it's a harsh one because you can't see. How are you meant to know if the bloke's gotten rid of the ball? And if he has, what are you supposed to do about it? You're halfway through a tackle. You've got to... The rules...
Tackling's become really hard in the AFL at the moment.
I'm trying to blame the rules here, not the umpires.
Yeah, but the tackling seems hard because the rules are almost against the tackler.
Yeah, and against defenders. Because, let's be honest, what do the AFL want? A free-flowing, high-scoring game of football.
They want more goals kicked. They don't want people stopping the goals by tackling.
And early in the year, the man on the mark rule change did work. But as the year's gone on, I reckon the influence of that rule change has gone away. But then I don't see how paying free kicks for every little nitty-gritty thing is going to help you high-scoring, free-flowing game of football. Because it's stop-start, stop-start.
Anyway, let's move away from rules.
That's enough on the umpires. It is frustrating, and I feel the frustration, but it's not why we lost the game of football. Which is a nice segue into why did we lose the game of football? And
this is when we should say some song Passengers. Yeah.
Passengers, yeah, well that was one. The biggest standout for me, second half in particular, and the class. We've got classy midfielders, but the class of the Bont.
Yeah, apparently we don't.
Treloar sticks in my mind. They were playing with a dry ball. And every time we had the chance to take clean possession, we fumbled. Darcy Parish was the only one that I really recall being able to bend down, pick up the ball cleanly, and then dispose of it. Darce, love you.
Draper was nearly cleaner than most of our midfielders.
Darce had a 16 possession second quarter. What a freaking gun of a man. But ultimately, that's what it was. We had enough ball. We broke even on possessions they only had 4 more inside 50s. We were actually up on that stat at half time.
But our inside 50s
they were deplorable. Yeah, absolutely.
Disgusting. You can't. It's like you can't rate theirs against theirs because they were going into not pack congested conditions. They were like leading and they were one-on-ones all over the place, and then, they spread out a handball and all of a sudden they got space. Ours were just to bomb it into 5 or 10 guys and see what happens, really. Could we teach a forward to lead at the damn guy with the ball? Like, it's one of the basic things of football. And what it does, 2 things. It gives you the opportunity, one, if the guy does kick it to you and you mark it and you go back and have a set shot. Now, on a wet day, you can still take a chest mark. You can even still take it with your hands. But the other thing, it also, if they don't kick it to you, it draws a defender out of that forward 20 range.
It creates just a little
and
bit
gives,
of space.
then if you're going to bomb it long, it's one less defender in there to smash it around.
And in those conditions, the ball getting to ground isn't the worst thing if you can then lock it in.
Yep.
And
because the number of times I saw Wood come over and just spoil it. So whoever his direct opponent was say, I have to lead up and get Wood out of these contests because he's having too much of an effect.
Yeah. And if I'm just going to look at the stats here, so I've got something to back it up. Yes, excellent. I do. Caleb Daniel, every time we kicked it in, he got it out. He had 10 rebound 50s, game high.
Yep.
Every time. Which just... You said it before we started recording. Football. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing twice and expecting a different result. Well, we did it 30 times and expected something to change. We really lowered our colours out of the middle. They had double our centre clearances, 14-7, which was an area where we've been so good and where we beat them a month ago. Was because of that
I don't
dominance.
know. I think what was funny is I actually think we were a better midfielder before Shield and Caldwell were there when it was just Parrish, Merritt.
Yeah.
And probably, I think we missed a guy like Langford.
I think Langford's, that sort of cross between size but mobility in those conditions. I mean, Bont was obviously a class above Langers, but he is that size but strong.
Yeah. And he can go forward, kick a goal.
Yeah.
If they kick it to him. Yeah. Just bomb it on everything on his head.
So...
I was really frustrated with my team. I was really, and I'm sure a few people, I know time will get over it but just to watch the way we played, it was dumb football a lot of the time. It was, there were a couple of guys like Shield, I'll name them, Shield and McGrath were deer in the headlights a couple of times. They fumbled, they just rushed kicks because they didn't know what to do. And I think we were talking about this earlier. Can we please, for the love of God, practice some wet weather football during the preseason?
Now, I did see a comment saying time to install some sprinklers down at
as soon as it rains, we play the same style of football thinking we'll do the same thing. It's really fun. And every time as supporters you go, oh God, it's raining. We're going to do the same
and we
thing.
knew it. We talked about it before.
Yeah. We're going to do it. We're going to stuff this up now.
It's not, for me, it's not even game plan. It's just skills.
They were
appalling, though. They couldn't, apart from Dust, again, leave him out of that conversation.
Redmond fumbled a lot too.
Yep, could not even pick up the damn ball below their knees. And it's just like, guys, surely throughout your playing career, both under 18s, AFL, you've played in friggin' rain.
Wet.
I don't understand it. Is it above the shoulders, maybe?
I think it's just they don't do enough of it at the moment. We play at Marvel Stadium a lot.
Moving on a little bit.
I don't want to.
We've full disclosure. We've already had a conversation this morning about this and
did all the swearing.
Have gotten a lot of it out of our systems, but it is still hurting. It is still. I haven't been able to go on social media because I don't want to see how many days it's been. We know this.
But it's just the same.
It was the old Essendon.
We kicked 4 goals. You kick a goal in the second half. Lost by 40-something point. What was the end result? I didn't watch the last few.
They won by. I haven't got maths quick enough for that question. 49 points.
49. So we lost by nearly 50 points again in a final. It's just, and the message will come out of Essendon. Oh, that one will burn. That one will sting. Well, how about
change it?
Change it for all of our sakes.
I think There's a couple of things involved with what you're saying there. Like, next time we make finals, whether that's next year or not, we've talked about this, that we may well go backwards next year just because of the personnel. 6th or above. Let's make it meaningful, not just finish 8th.
7th
because
or 8th.
every time of those 6 that I mentioned we've lost, I think all bar one we've been 8th, and the other time we were 7th.
So what you're saying is, if it gets to the end of the year and we're 9th, just dog it and lose every game at the end.
Well, I mean, you can't do that. I realise we can't do that, but I would really, until we actually finish 5th, 6th or above, really there's no pressure on that team to win a final because you're 8th. We were the worst team in finals. And we played 5th against a team who was first 3 weeks earlier, who found some bloody
We're
form.
giving them credit. They're still not a good football team. I still don't think.
Well, I think they'll get smashed by Brisbane, and I hope someone runs through Cody Waitman. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's not, actually.
I saw something how his father was called Flea, and they're starting to call him Free.
I've never had so much hate for a bloke I've watched play football once.
Oh, he's now jumped into my most hated football player list.
Enemy number 1. All right, let's just divulge into some personnel conversations. I'm going to mention a few goods because, every cloud and all that. As I mentioned, Darcy Parish, 35 touches, 11 clearances and a goal. What a guy. If you're looking for positives of our overall season, there's one ginormous one. He was unreal. 16 disposal or 15 disposal second quarter. Unbelievable. And like I've mentioned, skills in the wet when no one else had them. Big Sammy Draper was up there in terms of fantasy. 18 touches, 5 clearances of his own, 44 hit outs. Didn't think he had a huge actual dominance in that area that we were hoping for, but
he
won
still
the
was
taps.
in it a lot.
Yeah.
He was he was in the best 2 or 3.
Yeah. And probably the only other one I want to mention is Zach Merritt, 31 touches, but just battled. Every time there was a contest, a scrap, he was there. He was on the ground. He was getting frustrated by the umpiring decisions as well. We were all feeling that. He didn't bump the umpire, thankfully. But he battled and battled.
Who'd be silly enough to do that?
Yes. Which I like to see, when you're down, says a lot. Anyone else for you before we move into the
No,
rest
they
of the
were the
let's be
3.
honest?
I really was pretty disappointed with a lot of players. I don't know.
So
It hurt.
the comment I made yesterday was we had a lot of passengers. A lot of guys with just no impact on the game. And I'm going to reel a few of them off. We'll talk about a couple of them, maybe not some others. Archie Perkins, harsh, 6 disposals. Not enough. Peter Wright, 7 touches and no impact on the scoreboard. Alec Waterman, 10 touches, no impact on the scoreboard. Francis had 9 touches, was really good early with his aerial stuff.
Yep.
Kicked 2 behinds. That hurts.
And that the 2 behind, like the number of times, I think in the first and second quarter, we had a chance to get a little mini lead when it was still half sort of dry, and they just
burned the chances.
bloody kicked points. Just
Continuing on, 15 disposals for McGrath, 14 for Caldwell, who had 9.
Horrible disposals from McGrath, let's be honest.
14 for Caldwell, who had 9 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
18 for Golfy and Gleeson. Gleeson panicked so many times when he got near that football. Oh my God. I like Marty, but just panic stations every time he got near it. Durham, 17. I'm leaving out a few of the key defenders here because they're not expected to get a lot of ball.
No, yeah.
Cutler had 21 and did a few silly things.
Ridley was good. He had, I think, about 18 punches.
17 touches for Riddles.
But I think he had 18 defensive punches.
Spoils?
Spoils, that's the word, thank you.
Redmond, 18 touches, but again was panicky.
Oh, Redmond, no, he was horrible. Seriously, he panicked. He looked like he shat his dacks a couple of times when pressure came on him. And I can't handle that. Yes, I know it's a final, but after 10 minutes of playing, you should be into the game and you should be right. This is footy.
Yeah, it's footy. Yeah. Just to back up your point on Ridley. So James Stewart was number 2 for Essendon and had 6 spoils.
Yeah.
Jordan Ridley had 16.
Yeah, 16. I was close.
And the next best overall was Easton Wood, Lewis Young, and Ryan Gardner with 8 each.
Yeah, but Easton Wood was the one down the other end, and I was watching him in particular. He was coming across some really good fists, like cleaning the ball out of that area.
Tony Frawley would be proud.
Yeah. And I was like, whoever's on him, and I don't know the matchup, had to drag him out of the contest because he's killing us.
And it was the same with Caleb Daniel. We needed a defensive forward role
Yeah.
there.
And I thought that could have been someone like Caldwell, not Caldwell,
Waterman or Smith?
No,
Guelphy?
came into the team, bloody midfielder.
Caldwell?
Yeah, Caldwell.
You said Caldwell.
So I said that first off and
You
didn't think
did.
it was right. Well,
First
I thought
option's
that could
normally
have been
best,
maybe. I thought that could have been maybe a role for him in the second half. I thought he wasn't as productive in the midfield. Send him to the forward line. Put someone like Smith or something like that in the midfield in the rotation, and just make him a defensive forward.
Well, this was the thing, though. I guess if we did that, they had Easton Wood, Caleb Daniel with a lot of rebounds, and Bailey Smith as well, killing it off half.
Bailey Smith was just running away from us all the time.
So I don't. Maybe even if we had gone down that defensive route, we probably couldn't have done it against 3 players and still expect to score.
No, but I'll pick one, and I'll pick the guy that's kicking the ball. I'm not going to pick the guy running with the ball because that's harder to defend. I'm going to pick the guy who's just popping up and chipping, kicking it, so I can defend him.
Lastly, we're going to sort of wrap up shortly. I want to talk about a few individuals in particular. You've mentioned McGrath being pretty poor. I don't remember him standing out to me watching the game as much. My biggest issue is probably the highest paid bloke on that field wearing a red sash, and that's Dylan Shield.
If offers come for him in the preseason, please take them. I don't know. If there's any rumours or reports, just take them. Just say, Port Adelaide, I don't know what. If there's anything going around, just say, we'll make a trade.
He's not $100,000 off his value.
Have we made him worse?
Maybe he was just never good. Or never that good. I know he's got...
I feel like we've made him worse.
He's got a good ability to win the ball. I mean, he had 24 touches and 6 clearances. So clearly he's got a brain that is good for a midfielder. He can get the ball.
Once he gets the ball, he
once
butchers
he gets
it.
He is rubbish. Oh my God.
Butchers it by foot, by hand, by everything.
I had a couple of Facebook group chats where blokes would mute us so we could watch the game in peace. And he came back several times just to say Dylan Shield is shit. It happened 5-6 times in the first half where he got the ball and just absolutely munted the kick, munted the handball.
I don't know if he's a left footer. Have we checked that? Has he tried kicking it on his right? Like maybe he's a right footer who's... My grandfather used to... I'm a left-handed... I'm a left-handed golfer. And my grandfather used to say to me, are you sure? Here's some right-handed sticks. Have a bit of a go. Just try that. I think Dylan Shield maybe is a right footer.
I don't know.
Because he's useless on that left.
He was really poor and just gave away the ball. Again, when we were on top in the second quarter, he gave away the ball several times. And it's like, dude, if you're a middle-of-the-road player, I'll probably go, for God's sake, all right. You are meant to be elite. You are meant to be the guy we brought in. At that time, you were meant to be the guy we brought in to win a flag. Let's be real. That's what they were gunning for at that point in time. You're garbage. And we are so critical of Carlton, rightfully, because they brought in these guys who have underperformed.
100%. And he is underperforming right now. I don't think he gets a... If there was a game next week, say if that had just been round 20 or whatever, I would have said he doesn't get a game next week because surely I'd rather Clark or I'd rather... Well,
you'd rather one of those nuggety players that just play their role. And do it well.
Obviously Langford. I'd rather Tip and Woody. I'd rather Langford and Tip and Woody in that team than him. Langford can go on the wing and Tip and Woody can play as a small forward. I don't know what his role is because as a midfielder, he's a mile behind Parrish and Merritt and all those, even Caldwell. I'd rather have Caldwell, to be honest, because at least he's hard around the ball too.
And he's like 21.
Yeah, he's 21 and I still think there's a lot of upside about him. Whereas Shield is at the top of his game and is rubbish.
Yeah, and that's the issue. Shield's not going to get any better.
Nope. Unless
I
give him to another club.
I guess your foot skills you can work on.
But you shouldn't have to be working on foot skills at 27.
Not at that point. Caldwell's still 20, by the way.
A lot of upside. And look, it was disappointing that he had 9 whatever touches in the first, and then not much else. But
First
game back, I could understand why they picked him because they wanted to get a bit of a bigger, strong body in there. But
and at quarter time, we were sitting there going, "Yeah,
good choice."
Jeez. Yeah,
he faded, and that's okay. I'm not critical of him.
Yeah, I don't like bashing players because
I do.
I
no, I don't either.
Bashing's bad. Conversations are okay. Shield not good enough. I'm in the bandwagon where if we had someone come knocking and wanting, I don't know who wants to trade him though.
No one does.
We're sitting here calling him shit. I can't see Port Adelaide, who are 1 game away from a grand final, coming out and going, "Yeah, you'll do."
Yeah, no, I don't see that happening. But I guess the frustration is that he just seems to not have improved in the 3 or 4 years he's not helping our team. He's almost now unplayable in the midfield. And unless we find a spot for him in the back half, which he'd butcher the ball way back there.
Well,
and he can't, he's not a forward.
This is the thing, right? Langford comes back into that side. Durham's done more than enough to earn his spot.
Yep.
Caldwell, again, you persist because he's 20. He had a great quarter of football. He's got lots of upside.
Yep.
Langford's coming into that side for Shield.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know about the optics and the politics of in a football club if you can really drop your $800,000 a year guy.
GWS do it. They do it to their captain.
A year.
Yeah, I think you have to do it. I think you have to
send
a
I agree.
message
On
to
form,
him.
He's rubbish. So get him out of the side. But just don't see that guy getting dropped. Anyway, we don't have to worry about
agree.
it
I don't see him getting dropped, but I don't see the value of him at the moment in the midfield. He's the 5th or 6th best midfielder, and there are guys that are flying past him.
And that are younger.
And the problem is he can't play another role. Like you just can't say, we'll go forward a bit more because I can't see him being a useful forward at all. Can he mark above his head?
Well, I can't see him having a good set shot either.
No, can't see him having, but I couldn't see him taking a mark above his head.
No.
I don't see him doing that, putting his arms up. Do they work when they go above his head?
All right, moving on.
I just find it frustrating that we've got a guy like that on our list somehow. And this is why I prefer rookies. I really do.
Yeah.
Because they can be rubbish for their whole career, and you're like, well, we're not paying him much. It's fine. He didn't cost much.
And this is the whole thing about this season. Low expectations. When you got low expectations, it's easier to be impressive.
Yeah.
When you got high expectations,
you've got to perform.
You've got to in a final.
Yeah. He should be the best player. Like he's had 5 weeks of football now. He should have been in the best 4.
Injury's no longer a big
he should have been a best 4 or 5 player in that game yesterday, easily. There's nothing said he shouldn't have. He got the midfield minutes. He'd been building up for it through the last 5 weeks. He's got experience. He's probably the most senior games player. Like he would have played 100 and I'm guessing 30, 40, 50 games. He wouldn't be that far behind Heppel, I would have thought, if he's 27.
He's played 180 games, which
there you go,
may be more than Dyson Heppel.
So he played 180 games, and that's the rubbish he throws out in a final.
Heppel
Can't handle
played 191, 11 games difference.
That's not good enough. It's not good enough.
The other bloke, I want to put the blowtorch on. Hey, there's a name for a segment.
Give it another one.
The bomber blowtorch. Hey, Stringer. Now I know he kicked 2 goals. He's been brilliant for a month. I love him. Should have been All-Australian.
Oh yeah, I know.
You are in that side as a game changer, as a match winner, who had 9 touches against his old side in the biggest game of the year. Kicked 2 goals, yes. 1 at the start.
Now, I would like to go on just a little defensive. But I want to go on a little defensive. Was it because of Caldwell coming into the team that he had a lot less minutes in the midfield?
I would really hope not. If he
that's what it looked like.
Really dumb coaching.
Well, that's what it looked like because Caldwell was in there and Stringer wasn't.
That's horrible. Stringer's your most damaging midfielder.
But to me, he wasn't in the centre bounces as much.
I don't. Again, I didn't take enough notice to really comment, and I'm not watching a replay.
Oh, and I could look at the CBA attendances, but I don't want to.
CBA, fair enough. Can't be asked. I just thought in that game, he's a flog, he's an idiot, he's an arrogant, and all those qualities in a final are something I'm quite happy to see. But just 9 touches. And fair enough, if you didn't have the attendances then in the middle, then maybe that's a bit different. But that was disappointing for me.
That's what I saw. That as I said, I thought that, and it'd have to have an effect someone like Caldwell in the team because he's going to play in the midfield. Like that's his role. And then, see, this is the thing is when you got Caldwell and Shield, that I reckon pushes Stringer out even more so.
Well, no, Stringer should be pushing someone else out. Again,
Yeah,
our A1 midfield is Merritt, Parrish, Stringer. And everyone else, I don't care,
comes in to have a little, gets them to have it. They're the rest.
Through. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the guys when though any of those three need a rest, they come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And
100%.
Shield's like 5th in that list.
Yeah, Shield. But this is my issue: is where does Shield go? Like you can't just set him to a bench.
All right, we said we'll move on from Shield.
Yeah, I know, but it's been tough, Sam.
I know. I think
I did get a condolence text message from a Carlton mate of mine, which I didn't know how to take.
Oh, there are nice ones out there, I suppose. We can't hate the fans. You hate the club, I guess, not the fans.
I don't hate the club. I hate the players. No, I don't hate the players.
Carlton. I'm talking about.
Oh, Carlton. All right. I was talking about us.
Jesus. My whole mood for this game, as if you listen to our preview pod, we were quite upbeat. My whole mood changed for this game when the news about Nick Hind broke.
Yeah.
I went from being like, "Woo, we can do this," to, "Oh, for God's sake. Why us?
Why
Nick,
us?
What are you doing? Why are you going out? Get someone else to go out." Yet
again, another example of when a negative test has denied us a player.
Let's not go there.
Well, I'm just saying it, Sam. A negative test. We still don't get a player.
Let's not go there. I fully understand why he wasn't allowed to play. I don't have an issue with that side of it. It's just
why us? Why us? Why that weekend?
Why couldn't Bont go to Altona North Shopping Centre? They would have found a way to sneak him in. Let's be honest, it's Bont.
Why does it have to be our players every bloody time?
All right, we're gonna wrap up. Lastly, big shout out, Parrish and Merritt, all Australian. When we talked last week, they were still in the 40, not the 22.
Yep.
Awesome seasons. Das, what a gun.
Yeah, Das.
Zach,
great.
What a gun.
Be interesting to see who wins the best and fairest, really.
Oh yeah. Do we know when that is?
No, I don't have a clue. I did see there was Adelaide's was already happened.
Grimes won Richmond's too. That's already happened.
Oh yeah, there you go.
They normally happen pretty quick once the season's wrapped up, and given there's no actual event to hold, I imagine that will be done pretty quickly. So it's got to be Das, doesn't it? Surely.
I don't know. Merritt's been very, very good too. Merritt's probably been more consistent, but Das might. I don't know how it works. But anyway, they'll be both there.
They will both be up top. You would assume. Final bit of housekeeping. We will revert to the Glory and Fame name for next season. We had to change.
We're still working things out.
We will be the Glory and Fame Don Pod. Just want to get that out there before it gets taken by someone else, essentially.
Who's doing?
I don't know. Just in case, we're a popular club. Lots of people want to do podcasts, and we will be back probably in the week after grand final day, just to have a chat about good save. Nathan just sneezed for everyone at home. We'll be back week after grand final. We'll have a chat about the season, the players in general, and probably be in a bit more of a positive frame of mind.
Hopefully it can't be worse.
Why could it be?
And there's rumours about that Dylan Shield will be traded.
Yeah. All right. Have a good week, Dons fans. Don't let this result ruin what has been a good season. Don't bite at the trolls. Let them have their 6,000 days. We've still won a flag more recently than North Melbourne and Carlton. So, jog on. Go Dons. We'll chat to you in a couple of weeks.
Feel free to cry.
Yeah, have a cry. Let it all out. Absolutely. Absolutely. But remember, it's been a good season. Go Dons.
Go Dons.